I should be inside packing, but instead I'm outside in the rain because I couldn't resist the library tag. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Marilyn, sometimes called Maya, and I was tagged by this wonderful original tag created by BookBuds by Angelia of Read and Reread. And libraries have always meant a lot to me, and I will tell you a little bit about that. So this is the library tag, and it has two sets of questions or prompts. One for people who use the library and the other for people who don't. So if you do use the library, answer these, and I do. How often do you go to the library? Number one. Now that has changed. I used to go to the library physically about once or twice a week, sometimes more, to my local library. And sometimes I would go to take a bus and go, when I was younger, and go to the main library. But now I basically order books. But when I'm able to browse at a regional library, it's a treat for me, because now I'm usually just ordering books from our library site. Number two, do you belong to more than one library system? In Hawaii, we have only one library system, one major library system, which is Hawaii State Libraries, and we can have interlibrary loans from any of the libraries in the state. Sometimes it takes a long time if it's from another island branch. In fact, I was waiting. I'm waiting for a book from a library for like 3 months, but they wait until they have enough to put in a box and mail off to another to the state library or the library that you're requesting from. Number three, what % of books you read come from the library? I think I'm unusual. When I first started BookTube 4 years ago, I started buying books en masse until I realized I couldn't keep that up, especially with recent books, more recent books, because they're very expensive. So I would say that it was maybe 50-50 then. Now I would say it's like 75% from the library, 25% from my shelves, and maybe 25% used books that I buy from different sites like eBay, or sometimes I even buy a new book from Blackstones in England, because they're really cheap, and they ship it free all the way to Hawaii. Number four, do you listen to audiobooks or get ebooks from the library, or are you hooked on Audible or Amazon or something else? I'm unusual again, because I don't really like audiobooks. I've tried them and they're not for me. I don't know what it is about audiobooks, but I lose interest, and I've tried a few times. I've been semi-successful, but if I do it at night, I end up falling asleep. I don't drive, so I don't have that luxury to listen while I'm driving. And so I would say I don't listen to audiobooks. I don't have Audible, but I have borrowed an audiobook from the library, from our library system, from Libby. Very rarely. Number five, did you go to storytime at the library as a kid? We didn't have storytime at the library, at my library in the 50s. I think my mother would have taken me, but we didn't have that. So I did take my children to storytime at the library, and we were always at the library or at bookstores, because I used to take them browsing at bookstores. I always wanted them to have the love of books that I have. And I'm glad that I gave them that gift that my mother gave me, and that's reading. Number 6, have you ever borrowed a movie or video game from your library? I have a long time ago borrowed a movie, but as someone else said, and an answer to this question. They always were messed up. They I don't know why people would not take care of all of the movies, and they would be stuck, or they would just not play right. So I don't do that. I don't borrow movies anymore. I don't watch many movies, which is odd because I know a lot of booktubers who are avid movie watchers. But I always said I overdosed as a kid. My mother loved movies, so I got to see a lot of good classic movies on screen. So I tend to watch a movie occasionally on TV, but very occasionally. There is an exception. I did watch the new, I did see the new West Side Story, and I didn't like it compared to the old one. But I saw that on big screen with my daughter. She loved it. 7, have you ever got fined for returning books late? Yes. How do you feel about that? I feel good about that because it's giving our library money that they desperately need. So, yeah, I've given them a lot of money during my lifetime. So that's good. 8, do you attend special events, groups, or book sales at the library? Yes, I do. We have an annual Friends of the Library book sale, which I talk about a lot, and I go there and I borrow a lot of books. And I've gotten some gems from them, and they're not always that cheap unless you go the last day. But it's an annual treat for us when they have their big sale. And I've even got really a lot of gems at their smaller sales. So yeah, and I also a few times joined a book club at my local library, but they turned to Zoom, and I stopped doing it. But I might start when they have a book that I want to read. And they're a lovely bunch of women, mostly women. 9, have you ever given or taken a book from a little free library, a book box, or a book swap? In my neighborhood, we used to have 2 little free libraries, and they were taken out. And I used to give books and take books. There was one in front of the library that they took out. And it might have been because there was homeless people that were doing things to inside the box, or putting garbage inside the box, so they took that out. And with the house, it was on the fancier side of my neighborhood near the ocean. I live more near the mountains, and across the street is the ocean, and they have like large houses. And there was a small free library, and I was so excited. But right now we don't have any. All right, bonus. Does your librarian know you by name? Now, I've outlived many librarians that knew me by name, and they know me by name right now. I have a local library that's in my town. It's the oldest library, predating, I think, at the end of the 40s. It's tiny, it's cozy. I know everybody there. They know me, and I have a story to tell about that. But they definitely know me by name, and this comes to my little story. When I wrote my own memoir, published by a UK publisher, and it's out of print. The only place you probably could find it in print is in Britain, because it was published by a British publisher. And I will show you the cover because I'm kind of proud of it. And it's the reason I'm showing it to you, and I don't usually show my book, is because it was published by a mental health publisher, and it's Mental Health May, and it's From Agoraphobia to Zen. So let me I love the cover because there's a world on top. There's a picture of what could have been me on the shelf, so agoraphobia, and then there's a book on the bottom of the cabinet. So yeah, I like that cover. And I wanted to end with, the reason I'm showing you this book, like I said, since it's out of print, is because I wanted to show you how important libraries were to me on two different levels. Now, on one level, I wrote about it my chapter 5, and I'll just read you a few lines. I always knew I would run away from home, but in 1955, my passport was my library card, and my destination was the DeVoe Street Library in Brooklyn. By the way, that's the same library that A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, Betty Smith went to, and they even made a tree in front of that library in honor of her. Her daughter planted it. How I loved that place. First of all, it was quiet. You had to be quiet. What a concept. Since my house was bedlam, literally, I thought it was astonishing that there were people who were silent on purpose. The red brick building would become my refuge. I loved the librarian with her tight bun and quiet voice. I always made sure I had an important question to ask her when I shyly approached. And what was important? No, vital to my then 6-year-old self was fairy tales. Grimm's and Hans Christian Andersen became my escape from a life I somehow knew was not right. I was a child. I didn't understand poverty, chaos, even abuse in the grown-up way. I just knew reading made everything better. And reading still makes everything better. The other story I have is that when I did have this book published, my local library, they hosted a variety of events for me that I was astonished that they would go out of their way to, I guess, appreciate my my coming there so many times, so long. And also, they continue to keep my book. In fact, I asked the librarian, I said, my book went out of print a long time ago, so if you ever decide to give the book or sell it in a book sale, can you just give it to me first? And she says, we'll never give away your book. You're a local person who wrote a book. So, that made me feel so good. And I hope I can again maybe write a book and have my library publicize it. And when I went on a book tour in Britain, I actually went to a lot of bookstores, not bookstores, libraries all over the United Kingdom, and it was really fun. I had such a good time. So libraries are important because they allow people who can't afford to buy books the opportunity to have that wonderful experience of reading. So I'm going to tag some people because that's the last question. Tag some friends. And I'm going to tag Katja from Pages with Katja, Sarah at Roadworthy, and some British booktubers, Emily at Novell Novels, and Jack at Spread Book Joy, and my friend who's not from UK, Gina Stan Your Books. So if you want to do this tag, I think it's a wonderful tag. I've met some wonderful people who were former librarians, and I'm so excited that those librarians that I revered in my youth are now my friends. I'm still amazed how BookTube has changed my life, and I still learn from them, just like I learned from those librarians back when I was a child, and they steered me to books that just made my mental health better, made my life better. And I hope that you will go to your library very soon, because it's a resource now, very different. You don't have to be quiet anymore. And you also can get so many other tools and resources. So that is the library tag. So thank you so much to BookBuds for creating such a wonderful tag. And I will see you after my vacation. I hope to do some shorts maybe while I'm gone. But anyway, until we meet again in another country, Canada, or back in Hawaii, I wish you all health, wealth, why not wealth, and aloha.